we could have somebody motion approval of our agenda, please.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Armstrong, second by Holmes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. If we could rise, pledge allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. So, let me change the view on the Zoom. It is public comment time, and see JD's not here, so I guess if there's anybody there's nobody in the room except media. If there's somebody on the line with public comment, we would entertain those comments right now, please. So, anyway, while we wait on JD, I'll kind of go through claims here. I wanted to take a moment to say thank you for chairing last week.
You're welcome.
I had a follow-up appointment yesterday, and things are much improved.
You're gonna live.
Oh, yeah, for
You
those.
can have your gavel back.
Huh?
You can have your gavel back. I presume the check will be in the mail.
You didn't get it already?
I haven't checked my mailbox yet. I'll check it when I get downstairs, see if it appeared.
Pony Express is running a little slow.
That's what I figured.
So, let's see, time of gratuity. All right.
JD get lost?
I don't know. We might
I'll send him a note.
send him a note and see what's going on. So you think anybody would be selling snow blowers?
I didn't see any out, but there's quite a few on Facebook I've seen.
We're there.
Yeah. Yeah. That was kind of exciting yesterday to see that.
It was a little
Goodness, it didn't
exciting.
amount to much. I will say this, those are the favorite kind of snows.
Yeah, one and done.
Yeah.
So, create any cattle problem, Jacob?
I'm calving right now. I'm supposed to be warm out, so a few calves have scours and things I'm working on. So
Is that right?
making them sick, warm, cold, warm, cold.
Yeah, it would.
But we're getting along.
Those.
There he is.
There he is.
We're gonna, JD, finish these bills real quick.
Fine. So there was no public comment today.
No?
No.
Never know, do you? Guess you just have to kind of plan on being surprised. Oh, don't you miss the game? You're thick. You can ignore my text, I know you're here now.
Did you send, I saw you email me that thing from Tom. Did you send that to Jacob as well? That,
No.
Okay, can you do that,
Yes,
please?
okay, I didn't know what I was supposed to be sending, he just said it, because mine wouldn't open either, so.
Oh, okay.
But yes, I will forward that on to Jacob as well.
And, I don't know if either one of you guys can go. I've got a Zion meeting at that time in Atlantic. I won't be able to attend.
I didn't know if you wanted just because you were chairman, but I will send it to Jacob.
Yeah, I think, I mean, if either one of you guys could go, it'd probably be good information. If, you got time and works in your schedule. Oh, it's a webinar on Alice training.
Oh, okay. Now it opened. I just sent it to you, Jacob.
Yeah, there you go.
That is April 26th at 4. What day of the week is that? That'd be Monday? I should be good.
Well, is it 4? It's 1, it's 11 o'clock.
11.
11. That's why I'm in that meeting in Zion probably till 11:30.
Oh, it's 4 p.m. Universal Time. Yeah.
What's Universal Time? I mean, Central Time?
No, it's
5 hours.
at 11. It doesn't mean anything to us.
Universal to who?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. It's not our time, it's all right.
Yeah, it's 11 o'clock.
So, I mean, the important thing is Tom goes, but.
Yeah,
if anybody wants
and
to
is that
look in-
something they'll probably have on tape too, so we can watch it?
I don't know, I would assume so.
Like I can just sign in and watch it somehow or on the email.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, you know, some of them are hit and miss. I know some of that NACO stuff was not recorded, but I hope it would have been recorded.
And
At
some
least
was.
I can't find
Yeah.
it.
I think we could sit around and watch videos all day long.
Well, I think you're right. I think you are right. Okay, well, Mr. King, if you are ready, I think you can get caught up here. Okay.
Oh, Jacob, here's the last one that I've got.
Good morning, it's JD with the engineer update first. And one agenda item after that. Blades are out of the districts and the retriever was running, although I see it hooked to a motor grader that's in the shop this morning. We're hauling rock. We had 3 trucks yesterday, probably another 1 or 2 today because some guys returned from vacation. Pipe crews digging crossroad pipes on the North Borough oil. And it was, it's under contract for base stabilization and a seal coat as of last year. It was ground up last year and smoothed out, so we didn't have to fight wheel ruts over the winter time. So, it'll take a week and a half to do all the pipes on that stretch. And then I think the last time, as I recall, the last time I spoke with Manats about their anticipated start schedule was sometime in the summer, June, July.
Okay,
And that's good. That's a good time to do it. It's warmer. The first time we did base stabilization in 2013, we did it in September, October. And in the following summer, when it got hot, we put plenty of rock down where it was bleeding up through. So there was a crew out coal patching. We got some coal patch out of Henningsen and Atlantic and doing the larger holes on M56 north of 2 and then up toward Lyman Way. They're burning brush today. As they were coal patching, they're not coal patching today, they're burning brush. A couple different crews, various parts of the county. And of course, yesterday afternoon, we had a little tease of snow. It did not accumulate here in Page County, although I hear it's still, one of my guys said, according to the radar, it's still snowing down in Kansas City. Good place for it. Skid steer, still waiting parts. There's a joystick problem, and then they found something else. Number 24 is a truck tractor pulls a belly dump. It's, should be put back together by now at Cornhusker, and it should pick up sometime this week. Number 46 is international. Some electrical issues and the lights, and we're waiting on some brake canisters for our dump trucks. The mower's not put together. We do have more parts in. Finally, we do have more parts in, but we don't have them put on yet. And you know, that's when it's 25 or 30 degrees, the grass not growing very fast. But now, you know, when it turns 70, I'm sure it'll jump on us. Yesterday, they did the motor grader service on number 8, and we did have some snow. Plow truck set up yesterday afternoon. I did not send them up today. At the bridge on J20, east of the Russell Corner, they're setting up blocks for the open rail posts, but we prohibited them from pouring concrete yesterday or today because of the cold temperatures in the forecast nights, these next couple of nights. And you know, if it was some other operation than these boxes, but the rail posts are a couple foot long, foot wide, foot tall, so it's a pretty small, it's a small amount of concrete, so it doesn't a lot of surface area per mass, so it's prone to get cool, unlike, let's say, an abutment that's 3 by 3 by 33. So we're slowing them down, but we're not on schedule yet. Okay. So I anticipate them, Lord knows, this Friday. And once again, the timeliness of the subs arrival is key in our staying on schedule. Last Thursday we had a local pipe. We had a local letting for pipe installation by outside contractors. That's an agenda item. I'll get to that in a bit. There was a series of emails from our RPA, SWIPCO, that reminded us that there are now earmarks. As I understand it, the congressional delegation from Iowa and other states, of course, have solicited for federal aid projects funded at 80-20. It's earmarked, so it's competing in the third congressional district. Representative Axney. Of course, the director of the RPA was skeptical if our project could, if it was, well, he said if it was eligible. It's an eligible project. Now, whether it scores sufficient to, warrant any funding from above, that's a totally different matter. But it's ready to go. It's the same bridge that we tried for the build grant on, North Essex, over there, Nishnabah. So it's a federal aid project ready to go. So we'll see how that shakes out. Several years ago, we got away from the earmarks to let the local folks and the DO folks select projects so that we think are warranted, as opposed to the federal government sending money down specifically directed to a pet project from someone. Let's see what else. I don't have any timeline of when. All I know for a timeline is they wanted to turn it in yesterday. we turned ours in Friday. But I don't have a clue to the schedule when it might be announced or when it's due to be constructed or, authorized. And last week, we also closed a couple of bridges. They're both on dirt roads, or at least the ones adjacent to it. Well, it's gravel on the one side to a homestead, and then service turns to dirt down to the next road intersection, and it's west is dirt, and east is gravel. So I've spoken with interested parties at both locations, or they spoke to me. We had a conversation. It wasn't all one-sided. And I sent a picture. I sent a picture with the engineer's update of the problem with F-36. And after checking a cursory check of the drainage area, it's only a square mile or 640 acres of drainage. So that's sized where that bridge carries a sufficient amount of water that could be replaced by a pipe. So I'm confident that that's a better alternative than trying to fix the bridge and still end up with something that's not good for legal roads. Because it's a field access crossing only, the road comes down to a house, and then turns to dirt. So, they only use it when it's fit to travel, except for the mudders. So that's F-36. A-20 is just northwest of College Springs. There's two landowners. One landowner has ground on the north, east, and west of the bridge. One landowner has land on the south, east, and west of the bridge. So they use the bridge on a regular basis. They're interested in not seeing it gone now. Yeah, I did talk with the landowner of one of the landowners probably 5 or 6 years ago when I was learning the county, and we talked about this bridge. It was 3 ton at the time. It's pretty tall. So tall piling, bad piling. And we need a session sometime to talk together, this group here, and then also with them. They would entertain closing or vacating the easement on this dirt road, closing it and turn it over to them. But we would want to, I love that old fellow. But they would consider if we perhaps put in a little water crossing with water pipe or some other alternative to a new bridge. We can't justify a new bridge at that location. There's not the traffic. However, we've talked about some things with the landowners, and they're open to discussions and negotiations. So we should do that this summer ahead of fall harvest. One other comment that's not listed on the update is we've been retrieving around the county, and I took some calls late last week about there was some critiques or criticism of our operation there. But I've got a couple of pictures. this is on K Avenue looking north and south. And then, the machine doing the work also.
Oh, yeah, I got one.
There you go. Oh, sorry.
So this is, these photos are all K Avenue?
Yeah. Well, the one with the machine on
Is K Avenue?
is not on K.
Oh, it's not, okay, okay.
But it was iron.
Ironwood, okay.
It was in the area. The second agenda item on the engineer's update is to discuss and award contractor pipe installation contract. Like I said, this is, on last Thursday, auditor's office opened and read the bids, and we checked the numbers. There was one contractor who was off $6 or $7 with his addition. That's correct here. This is the same set of 7 pipe that was let last fall, no bids, because it was a poor timing on my part. Everybody's busy doing work in the fields with their regular customers. Now this is, of course, timed so that my completion date is mid-September. So they have all season to accomplish the work, and that's fine. They need to work it in, take care of their regular customers, before the fields are planted. Then when they're basically froze out, not literally froze out, but when they're not able to work in the fields, then we have some work on the roads to fill out some of their time. And then in the fall, I would anticipate that it will all be done, and then once the harvest is complete, they'll be back in the field doing time and terrace work. Pleased that we have 5 bids here, and Mather and Sons also did the work last year in the spring.
Was that work last year 6 or 7 pipes, JD?
I think it was also 7 pipes.
It was 7? So, and as I recall, that job was about 67,000 last year.
Right.
So are these bigger
This is-
pipes?
There's some elbow pipes here,
Okay,
and there's a concrete patch in the city of Point on J52.
okay.
So there's some extra dollars compared. So it's within the target budget. I'd recommend the board award the contract to install pipe. We're furnishing the pipe, he's installing.
Pardon me?
We're furnishing all the pipe
Oh, right,
because there's of course lag time on pipe.
right.
We have the pipe in the yard for all these jobs. And I recommend we award this to Mather and Son.
So, before we get a motion, ESB, where are they out of?
They're out of Red Oak. They were one of the contractors that worked on the weirs.
Yeah, that's where, okay, that's why they're familiar. Precision, where are they at?
It's precision drainage. Couple local guys with the dozer and the hole.
Okay,
John K. and Mrs. K. down in the treasurer's office.
oh, okay.
Christie, can you help me out with this?
Yeah, Kirk,
Yes.
Oh,
And tutelage in the treasury office.
Got it, okay,
The mom, the wife.
okay. Well, I know, we had, tried to target pipes. Our crews were pretty aggressive, but the last, 2 years, we've contracted pipe, have we, or maybe just
Well,
last?
last year, and then there was skipped a year or something, but this will be the third time.
Anybody, excuse me, want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the bid from Mabel Construction.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion from Armstrong, second by Holmes. Any other discussion, gentlemen?
This is all figured in the budget already in there. Okay. That's all I have.
Okay, ask for a vote then. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. All right, and then I think we've got some questions for you, JD.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jacob.
Like I said, that retriever, brings a lot of phone calls, seems like. I had some more yesterday. Bill Harvey lives out kind of in the same area, north of Coin. Called and of course, then the week before when I was running over here on the east side, I had calls over there. I'd talked to you about that. A lot of the concern was, not a picture I sent to Chuck, it's kind of like your pictures, but it showed running that retriever on both sides of the road, how in some places it had mud quite a ways out and made the road pretty narrow. Bill's concern was, he drives truck, brings his truck home all the time, and when the shoulders are super soft, it's sucking him off the road. It's not very safe, so he's got to try to stay in the middle of the road, which isn't safe, so I don't know what the answer is there, but the retriever seems to be causing a lot of issues. Is it always to run both sides at the same time?
No.
That's something I wondered about. Because it creates,
That's not a requirement. That was a concern on K, but I drove down it on Friday afternoon there. I didn't think it was quite as bad.
spot I drove it to, there by Keith Hughesman's, is coming up the hill from heading south, up by his house. That was probably the worst I saw. It was pretty big chunks and they were quite a ways out. I have a picture of it sent to me, but
Yeah, it's fairly narrow right there.
on that, going up that hill.
Mhm.
Not everywhere, but
And,
it just,
and they'll move those windrows back and forth across the road.
and all the dirt is the other issue, basically putting all that dirt in the road. And I don't know, is there a way to cut that if it's mostly dirt, not much rock?
There's some of them.
Some, but is there a way to ever throw any the other direction or not? Is that a bad idea? Throw that down if you're just trying to get the water off the road, so I'm getting at. That's your main goal with this, not retrieving rock, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah. Just to try to get water off the road.
Get rid of an edge berm.
Because you get that grass and sod
Secondary ditch, yeah.
getting higher and then the water can't get off.
Right.
So I
That's the
don't,
primary intent of that, and we've modified our operations some since we first got it out front of a motor grader. We had guys that did the whole territory, and then they struggled all summer to get that shook back out. I mean, it's a needed tool.
the other thing is that road, that K gonna be rocked as part of this 40 miles?
Right.
Okay, I talked to Keith and I said, I thought it was, but I wasn't sure.
That's the reason that those were selected,
Because they're getting ready to get rocked.
because we're falling rock.
Right. So get it to drain and then rock it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not the case everywhere. Those in specific, it is the case. That's why those avenues were selected. So yeah, it's inconvenient, but it needs to be done.
Okay. Any other questions? I talked with JD a little bit last week about, we've had some calls since the, road presentation last Tuesday night on, different roads getting improvements, et cetera. And in our discussion, because of COVID and this, that, and the other. We've not really been on a road trip. And I checked with, Chris. Chris thinks that, he can supply us with enough radio so that we could go in separate cars and, be able to communicate along the way and then maybe select some stopping points to, so I think it'd probably be good for us to try to figure out a time here in the next few weeks, if possible, that we could maybe do a road trip.
Good, because we've missed that for a long time.
There's a lot of confusion after the meeting that the only road getting fixed in Page County was that little strip we added up on Essex. A lot of confusion.
Yeah, right.
Big confusion.
There was a lot of confusion. So,
The road plan, you know, showing that so many roads down southeast are gonna be redone.
right.
Missed
And
that.
so again, it just points to education.
Yeah.
We don't talk enough about it or answer enough questions probably, but I know the J Road, was one that I got quite a few calls on, and it's in rough shape, and the traffic count since that new establishment's out there.
It's in terrible shape up there.
Yeah, it's awful. It's awful. So anyway, if we could go get some education on a road trip, you know, try to find a day where we aren't slammed on an agenda. We can spend a couple hours, maybe get out of here,
Right,
you know, 10 o'clock.
We need a couple hours,
Yeah,
you know, after the normal meeting, and then, you know, probably block out till noon.
yeah, if we could. Now, I think Chris said he could help us out. He was on the line here a little bit earlier. He left, but, then we can, you know, drive our own vehicles and have, the auditor come along. So that would work. And then I think that was all I had for you, JD.
Okay. And then with the modification to the program, we'll get a copy to Corey for the website, and then put one downstairs where we go.
That'd be great.
Super.
Awesome.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
sun's up there somewhere.
Yeah, yes.
The sun's out there somewhere.
Yeah, someplace.
I will be gone, family thing, end of the week a little bit.
Okay,
Go see my daughter in Wisconsin.
Okay.
well, safe travels to you.
Yeah, enjoyed the snow up there.
All righty, so, we're running a little bit late. Don't think there's anybody. I see Dale is here. He might be here on behalf of the hospital today. I don't know. Got a call from Tyler Hill last week. Excuse me. We have at the county farm, here's what I know, and then we can talk about it. County farm, we have a 1/2-inch water line that the city provides for, well, when Wendell lived out there into the house, and now we use it for the renters' cattle.
More than a 1/2 inch, was it 2.5 or something?
Oh, is it the 2.5? I thought Tyler told me it was a 1/2-inch line. He said,
Half would be tiny.
I know, I
That
can't.
would, at least an inch, I think.
Okay, well, it's a small
Yeah, small line.
It's a small line. And, in the hospital construction here, middle of last week, they chopped that line off and not thinking there was anybody down there. And there isn't anybody down there now. However, Justin does
They got
keep.
water or something.
Yeah, keeps cattle. And we looked at had the auditor look at the S.E. Davison will because I know over the years, there's been some talk about if economic development came forward with a project, that maybe that area, part of that area could be developed, knowing that there were some utilities at Page Center Road. And, anyway, the will, as I understand it, requires that pasture to stay pasture. That was the wish of the Davidson family. So there's gonna be a need for water down there. If ever there was a development, a jail put there, or a subdivision, or a business park, in that case, probably the city would run water. Right now, the city's not interested in moving the water line because we're not a big enough customer. And I understand the hospital's challenge, with their building plans. They can move it now, but then they anticipate having to move it. So they'd like to just get totally out of that water business. Talked with, Kevin Gowing about rural water. And rural water typically doesn't come that close to the city to don't want to infringe on the city, but, in this case, the city would have no problem. The problem is that its closest availability is on the south side of Page Center Road. So they've got about a 4,000 foot run at $4 a foot, and then you've got other miscellaneous expense. So you're looking at 18 to 20 grand, just a ballpark. Kevin would get us a real number if that's what we want to pursue. The other option that I think makes the most sense, would be to see about digging a well out there. And, talk with Darren Sunderman, our sanitarian, who is in charge of well permits, and, Darren related to me that, we've got that ditch that runs there on the west side of that property, and generally there's water in it. So the water table, he's guessing, would be somewhere 30 to 50 foot down. And, he recently dug a well 60 foot, and it cost him about $5,000. And I don't know anything about wells, Jacob, maybe you.
Well, I just priced digging a well last fall. I was gonna dig another one down just near a well I had, hook them together, more capacity. But it was Henry Well Digging Company, I think they told me, for about a 60-foot well, about 10,000. So I'm wondering who dug his, who.
Well, somebody, cause I asked him if Henry Well was still in business. I still remember those radio commercials for years. And,
Yeah.
they're still in business, but they weren't very competitive compared to, he had some other.
I didn't end up doing it. I didn't end up doing it, yeah,
Okay.
so if they cut the water line, are they gonna repair it for nothing? I mean, I have to.
Well, I would think that would be my expectation. I mean,
How soon are they gonna start the construction, according to the photos?
well, they've already, where the water line is now, as I understand it, it's been cut because
Okay.
that's part of their
Okay.
construction.
That,
The target where they're gonna move it,
mhm,
they anticipate future construction.
right,
And they don't think, in fact, in talking to Tyler, when you look at what they have planned and the available spots, there's really no good spot
No
for
good
a
spot,
water line
right.
running through there.
What is the minimum, $40 minimum price that, just on the farm?
You know, I talked to Justin and I forgot to ask him what is, he does get a bill, but I think, yeah, our.
In the city water might be less than that, right?
No, it's 44, I think 44 in the city now is the minimum. So.
I like wells too, I like.
Well, there'd be no minimum, and you know, hypothetically, who knows what the next 10 or 20 years, if there's ever any development. I know this board has talked about, in past years, if, you know, somebody would bring a project forward to look at, that we would consider it. You know, it's gotta fit the desires of the Davidson will, and, it has to benefit the taxpayers, because I think our current lease, brings us $62,000 or $63,000 a year on that property. So, anyway, I don't know, to me, you know, if you bring rural water up, Kevin, in his quote, he was looking at a 3-inch line. But if it was ever a development, you would anticipate the city would annex or,
mhm,
you know, there'd be enough customer base there. There's no sewer out there, you know, so if you think about putting a jail there, you've got a septic system to deal with. So I don't know. I know that we need water there.
yeah.
So,
I guess there's power on there right now to heat the waters, or is there electricity there right now, a minimum, somebody doing that?
I think that there is juice there.
Yeah.
I didn't ask Justin that specifically, but my assumption is we have power.
Like my well's 220, it runs well
Is it?
pump. I don't know if they all are, but mine is.
So, I don't know what,
You'd have to have, of course, pressure tank and everything, I don't know where that would be if they do a well house.
yes,
Or they, you know, like mine's in my basement,
Oh,
which
it
is
is?
nice, I'm working on, but like where I grew up, they had a well house down there over top the well, down in there.
sure.
So I don't know. There's a few things like that you have to think about, but
Mhm,
if you hit good water long term,
yeah.
it's a good thing.
Yeah, right. And
If you hit good water.
I guess that people in that business can drill some tests and give you a pretty good idea of the validity of the well.
But for just right now, so how long would it be before they would even patch this just to get water there?
Well, I don't think they have any plans. They're kind of waiting on us to figure out, some solutions. And the good news is there are currently no cattle out there. And Justin says that, Justin said he'll, work with anybody. And so if that means figuring this out and taking a little while, he can bring a portable water in there, or 1,600 gallon tank and water. But long term, we need some water in there.
You're right.
So, I don't know, would you,
I guess my thoughts are probably get an estimate on, get a little bit more on that. And see where we're at and make sure, know what our total costs are gonna be for the pump and make sure we got the power out there to handle that and everything else. And I don't know, is it a possibility of ever someday of having the jail out there?
well,
Is there enough land to use that we don't have to count as pasture?
that's a good question. I haven't looked at it. I would think so, yes.
Yeah, so I guess my thought is we probably are going to have more water than just a well.
Sure.
For that, but that could be done at that time, so.
Well,
If that was the location, if that was.
Right, there's so many unknowns.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't know.
So-
And if you're a big enough customer, the city would probably run it out there and long term.
And sewer, probably,
And
they'd get a
sewer.
sewer there. So I guess my thoughts are for the short term, for the next 2 to 5 years, probably a well would be the simplest.
Yeah, I think personally
Yeah.
that would be probably the best
Mhm.
solution. I understand the hospital's problem,
Yeah.
not wanting to move it, the expense of moving it all the time. And,
Yeah.
I just wonder, it might take a while to get a well dug too. They get.
It could.
Which if he can haul water, I guess, I can't believe there's not another place they can just tee in here somewhere. The hospital's gotta have tons of water. We come from here, but there's gotta be water feeding the
Yeah,
hospital. They could just tee off somewhere else than trying to go into that building.
well, and I thought maybe on the west side, which would be a pretty long haul coming down through the field, you'd have to wait till after harvest to come down that way, but the city, and I understand their point, currently, we're not a big enough customer to justify that
Right.
kind of a run.
But we didn't cut the water line either.
Uh,
We didn't cut the
No,
water.
we didn't cut the water. No, you're right. No, then there's some responsibility there to take care of that, I think.
To feed us.
Cause
It's nice having that option. It's kind of there in case of drought, and it's nice having that. I still have real water I can use,
sure,
but I don't, I'm on the well. But if I ever had a disaster, I'd be wanting to be
Sure.
able to go in a bad drought.
Yeah. There's nowhere the city can go from Orchlands or,
that's,
Yeah, there's gotta be water line running right now. You'd think it'd run along that road almost,
Mhm.
something.
I'll reach back out to Gary and
Yeah.
see what,
They could
Yeah.
just simply tee in somewhere and then still look at a well. Fine, look at it, see what it is. I'm curious about that.
okay,
yeah, because if the water's, I would think there'd have to be something there behind the ice house, Orchlands, coming in on that roadside on the S.C. Davidson Drive. You'd think there'd be something there.
yeah,
And to me, that would be a lot shorter of a distance to run it across and then up into our property and just continue with the.
well, I'll talk with Gary and see what is
Yeah,
possible. I know, since it's not, because Gary's comment was that the city probably was in error
Right.
to run it out there to a
Mhm.
non-city property in the first place.
Then again, that could get annexed into the city at some point, couldn't it?
Well, I'm
As,
sure,
and it's not like that hasn't benefited the city a tremendous amount too.
Sure.
So,
well, I'll revisit with
Yeah.
Gary.
Yeah.
Jacob, do you mind reaching out to Darren and
Yeah,
talking to this
I'm
well?
curious about that
yeah,
anyway.
Yeah, find out what information and what we need to do and maybe, because even if there's a fee to the city, it seems like that'd be the simplest, quickest fix instead of digging a well. If we can figure out a way to get the water there without, so.
Okay, all right, I'll reach back to Gary and then we'll, you know, there's no hurry. The water, we've got no water, no need for not water right
Yeah,
at this
and I'm
time.
sure the customer's probably able to haul water if he needed it, so, you know,
So,
for
all right,
time.
very, very good.
Okay.
So we won't take any action on this. We'll bring it back when we have a little more information. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the claims?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Armstrong, second by Holmes. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, claims approved. We had the minutes out, and no, those came out on Wednesday or Thursday,
I
I think.
didn't see anything myself.
I didn't either.
No, they look good, so I'll take a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay,
Second.
motion by Holmes, second by Armstrong. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I hear an aye. Okay, yeah, okay, we got everybody unanimous there. All right. Motion to adjourn then.
So moved.
I'll
Okay,
second that.
a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you for joining us today.